True story, back in about 1988, I went to change the oil in my wife's Celica. I drained all the oil, filled it up with all new oil, and we took it for a drive. We got about a block away and the car just wouldn't roll forward anymore. Yep, it was at that point I realized I had drained all of the transmission fluid and poured 6 quarts of oil on top of the oil that was already in the car. Here's Mike Fulton to show us how to change oil the right way.
Hello, I'm Mike Fulton from MF WoodShop. Welcome back to Home and Garden for Mere Mortals. Today we're going to do an oil change on my wife's vehicle. A couple things we need to know before we get started. First of all, how do you know when to change your oil? Well, bare minimum you want to change your oil every 3 months or every 3,000 miles, whichever comes first. But check with the manufacturer and find out when is appropriate time to change your oil on your particular vehicle. Some cars have a reminder light that'll pop up on your dash. It says maintenance required. If that comes on, most likely it's time to change your oil. What do we need to know before we go to the parts store? What kind of car you drive. That means the year, the make, the model, and the engine size. Easiest thing to do if you don't want to find all that information out is take your vehicle identification number with you and give that to the salesperson, and they can decipher what kind of car you have off the VIN number. That'll tell them the year, make, model, and the engine size. They may ask you if it's four-wheel drive or not. You just answer that question or answer any other questions that they may have so they can get you the right parts. What do you need to pick up at the parts store? Well, minimally, oil and an oil filter. You need to have the right weight oil, the right amount oil, and an oil filter. If you don't have an oil drain pan, you may want to pick that up as well. That'll catch the old oil coming out of the engine and allow you to dispose of it properly. You may want to pick up rubber gloves, a funnel, possibly car ramps to get the front end of the car off the ground so you can get underneath it. Those are just some of the things that you may need to do your own oil changes at home. Before you even get started, take your oil fill cap off, put it right here in the hood latch area. And I'll tell you why later. In order to find your oil drain plug, you got to find, of course, the engine, and then usually on the bottom of the engine there's a big old pan, and that oil drain plug is going to be right on that pan. It kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, so it's pretty hard to miss. In my case, it's a 15 millimeter. There we go. So you loosen up the bolt with the wrench, and then you should be able to do it by hand. So you let that drain out completely, and then you replace the drain plug. So now that most of the oil is drained out, I can replace it with the drain plug. And be careful not to over tighten. Now once it gets snug, you want it snug, but don't want to strip out that drain plug. Now let's find that oil filter. Well, good news on this car, the oil filter is actually replaced up top. Let me show you. Okay, my oil filter is right there. Let me reach down there and try to get that off. This is one of the most important parts about the oil change. On your old filter, make sure that this rubber seal came off with it. Without the seal, it looks like that. Make sure that seal is on your old filter. Okay, so we're good to go to put the new oil filter on. Just take a little bit of the old oil, rub it around the oil seal. Just kind of conditions that seal a little bit. It's real hard to cross thread these, but it can happen. And you want it fairly snug, but you don't want to over tighten that. It makes it that much harder to get it off next time. And we're almost ready for the new oil. All you do is use a funnel, get the oil back into the engine. In my particular engine, it takes 6 quarts. So I got a 5-quart jug, and I bought an extra quart. And don't pour all the oil in yet. We still got a couple more steps to go. Put your cap back on. Now we got to start the engine. So I want to give it about 10 to 15 seconds and then shut it back off. Again, I'm going to take the cap back off. Put it right back on the hood latch. And now we're going to check the oil. The reason we started the oil is because we want to get that oil into the oil filter so we can get a proper reading on our oil dipstick. Actually, we are perfect. We don't need to add any extra. So mine took about 5.5 quarts total. Now the reason I wanted the oil cap on the hood latch is if you forget to put that oil cap on and you start your engine, that oil is going to come shooting out, and then you're going to have a big old mess and possibly even ruin your engine. So if you put your oil cap right here, and for whatever reason you do forget to put that cap on, when you shut the hood, you're going to break that cap. I would much rather you break a $5 cap than to break your engine. So that's a good safety tip. Now we want to do one more thing, because I got my car elevated at an angle. I want to back the car off the ramps and recheck the oil just to make sure everything's good. I got the car back at a level plane. I'm going to recheck the oil. I am still good. All right, so I hope this video helps you a little bit about changing your oil. It's not a very hard process. There's a couple important things you want to remember. Make sure you don't put 2 gaskets on the oil filter. And just a safety note, put your oil filler cap on the hood latch. I would much rather you break that oil cap than to forget to put that back on your engine. Very, very important. Thank you for stopping by at HGMM. Don't forget to check out all the other content creators on this channel. If you want to follow me on MF WoodShop, you can follow me on my website at mfwoodshop.com, and you can also find me at MF WoodShop on YouTube. Until next time, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you 8 easy steps that you could take to get your car ready for a family road trip. Check your fluids before you get on the road. You can usually find the hood latch on the driver's side underneath the steering column.